Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. So, I'm doing something a bit unusual. I've decided I'm going to try to pass the SQE1 exam using my own AI-powered preparation system that I'm building from scratch in Bubble, a low-code platform. Now, before anyone jumps in the comments, yes, I know AI can hallucinate. Yes, I know Bubble is not exactly designed for legal education. And yes, I know this is not the normal route to qualifying as a solicitor. But that's exactly why I'm doing it. But I love a challenge. I could easily go and buy the Barbary or QLTS material and follow the structured path, and probably get all the information spoon-fed. But that's not what interests me. For me, half the job of becoming a lawyer is understanding the processes, how the legal system works, how rules fit together, and how the exam is structured underneath the information. Information is just a layer on top. If I can understand the framework, the logic, the flow, the relationships, I can teach the AI to understand it too. So in this series, I'm going to document the entire journey. You're going to see everything. How I design my own SQE1 preparation app in Bubble. How I build the databases, workflows, prompts, and MCQ generators. How I train and correct the AI when it gets things wrong. How I turn legal rules into structured processes the AI can learn. How I test myself with my own MCQ bank, thousands of them. And ultimately, whether this approach can get me through the SQE1 exam. This is not me saying this method is better. This is me saying, let's find out. Because AI is powerful, but only if you understand how to question it, correct it, and structure the knowledge yourself. I'm not under any illusion here. This system alone won't be enough. I'll still need to use proper preparation material. Cross-check everything with statutes, textbooks, and the SQE specification. But this AI project is the core of the challenge. It forces me to really understand the law, because I have to build the logic behind the knowledge. And if it works, even partly, it could become a new way for people to learn. What to expect next? I'll show you the first version of the Bubble app, the structure, the database, the question generator, and how I'm integrating ChatGPT into it. If you're into law or AI development, subscribe, follow along, and let's see where this goes. Before I dive in at the deep end, I want to raise a few concerns I have about both ethics and legality. AI uses an enormous amount of resources. The data centers that power these models consume huge quantities of energy and vast amounts of water. In a world where hundreds of millions of people still have no access to clean drinking water. So I have to ask myself, is it right to put additional strain on global resources simply to go on a personal quest to become a lawyer? To minimize this impact, I'm going to store most of the AI-generated information in my own database. That way, there's only a single trip to the data center to retrieve the data, and after that, it's stored locally. This should significantly reduce the overall strain on external resources. Then there's the question of legality. Where exactly will AI get its information from? Will it scrape SQE1 materials or reproduce content that's copyrighted? And if it does, would I be complicit in copyright infringement? This is a common criticism directed at large language models, a polite phrase for very sophisticated data scrapers. To mitigate this, I'm going to insist that the AI always returns its sources and provides links for every piece of information it gives me. That way, I can verify what's legitimate, what's public, and what I should avoid using. And relentlessly upbeat, and that could lead me into a false sense of security. This may become even more of an issue in SQE2 than in SQE1. But let me give you an example of how AI got a very basic task totally wrong. And it concerns, of all people, the Nobel Prize winner, Bob Dylan. I asked ChatGPT to explain to me the meaning of one of Bob Dylan's more obscure songs, Scarlet Town, from his later period. And it started out just fine. Let me quote, "The song is a modern reinterpretation of an old folk ballad world. The title comes from the traditional song Barbara Allen, which also opens with the line, 'In Scarlet Town, where I was born.' Dylan takes that seed and creates something darker and more mythic, a town that feels cursed, decadent, morally collapsing, characters who drift through it like figures in a dream, blurred timelines where frontier America, the Bible, and the modern day all overlap. So far, so good. ChatGPT can do this stuff all day long and launch 1,000 essays in a minute. Then it asked me if I wanted a line-by-line interpretation, and I said yes. But that's where the system got itself into a quandary. The original lyrics are copyrighted, so it couldn't reproduce them, but it still wanted to give me an explanation. So instead, it went on to invent a whole bunch of lines that seemed to fit the theme and Dylan's style, but which Dylan had never actually written. It just made up stuff, completely invented. I said, "This is not Dylan's work." And the AI just doubled down, giving me the meaning of lines that it had itself invented, simply because it did not want to disappoint me. Basically, it lied. Sweet lies, but still falsehoods. That is not a good omen for SQE1, which requires accuracy and true knowledge, not people-pleasing answers. So, let's see how this all pans out. Clearly, I have to make this disclaimer. None of what you are about to see can be taken as guaranteed truth. It is merely an indication of the direction of travel. Some of the information may be factual, and at best, hopefully, it will be worthy of discussion. One thing I have learned at my venerable age is this: never take anything at face value. Alright, before I build anything fancy, I need the basics in place. In Bubble, that starts with setting up the database, which is really just a collection of buckets that hold different kinds of information. Nothing technical or scary, just neat little containers to keep everything organized. We're going to have buckets for things like users, subjects, lessons, questions, quizzes, mock exams, and progress tracking. All of this will sit quietly in the background, making the whole app work. Bubble already gives me a user bucket, but I'll add a few extra pieces to it, like a role, for example student or admin, a display name, the list of lessons someone has completed, and even a list of weak topics to help the AI spot where someone needs extra help. Done. For subjects, I'll just create a simple list of SQE areas like contract, tort, or criminal. Each one gets a name, a description, and a number to keep them in the right order. Very straightforward. Lessons sit inside these subjects almost like chapters in a book. Each lesson needs to know which subject it belongs to, what it's called, the actual content of the lesson, how long it takes, and a little internal note to guide the AI tutor, something like offer and acceptance basics. Then comes the big bucket, the MCQS. This is the heart of the system. Every question stores its subject, its topic, the question text, 4 answer options, the correct answer letter, an explanation, and a difficulty level. This is really the engine of the whole study platform. Whenever someone does a quick quiz, the app creates a little record that remembers which questions they got, what answers they gave, their score, and how long it took them. And I'm adding a small feedback system, literally a thumbs up or thumbs down, so people can say whether they think an answer looks correct. The whole point is to remind everyone that AI isn't a truth machine. We have to question it, challenge it, and improve it. Mock exams work the same way, just bigger, storing the full list of questions, answers, the final score, the timing, and whether someone passed. This lets people practice the actual FLK1 or FLK2 experience with proper timing and pressure. And finally, the app keeps track of lesson progress. Things like whether someone has started, is halfway through, or has fully completed a lesson, along with when they last viewed it and their percentage progress. So once all of that is in place in the database, the next step is to actually give it a front end. Some pages people can use. I'll have a simple homepage where you can see your subjects and your overall progress, a subject page that lists out the lessons, a lesson page where you read the content and maybe chat with the AI tutor, and a quiz or mock exam page where the questions actually appear. Nothing too fancy, just clean, simple screens that do the job. Behind those pages, Bubble will run the workflows. Little if this, then that chains. For example, when you click Start Quiz, it will grab a bunch of questions from the database, save a new quiz record, and then show you the first question. When you pick an answer and hit Next, it saves what you chose, moves you on, and updates your score in the background. At the end, it stores everything so you can review what you got right and wrong. The same thing happens with mock exams, just on a bigger scale, and usually with a timer so you get closer to the real SQE1 experience. Bubble doesn't care if it's 10 questions or 100, it just runs the same logic with a bigger pile of questions. Now, the AI tutor sits on top of all this. The idea is that when you're looking at a lesson or reviewing a question, you can ask the AI to explain things in plain English or give you a step-by-step breakdown of a tricky rule. Under the hood, I'll send the AI a small prompt that says what topic we're on, maybe a short internal description like SQE1 contract, offer and acceptance basics, plus the user's question. The AI replies and I show the explanation right there on the page. If it's a good answer, I can save it into the database so it's there next time without calling the AI again. And here's an important point. You may have spotted this already. Earlier on, the AI described each MCQ as having 4 answer options: A, B, C, and D. But in the real SQE1 single best answer format, there are actually 5 options, not 4. That's already one mistake. So the database will store 5 choices per question, not 4, because that's how the exam actually works. Never trust AI at face value. You always have to sanity check what it tells you. That's also why I'm including that thumbs up/thumbs down feedback on each question. If an answer looks off, people can flag it. Over time, I can see which explanations are solid and which ones are suspicious. The app becomes a kind of conversation between humans and AI, not just a one-way lecture from the machine. On top of that, I'll set up a simple CSV import system. That just means I can keep a spreadsheet of questions, with the question text, the 5 answer options, the correct option, and the explanation, and then upload hundreds of them into Bubble in one go, instead of typing everything in by hand. It's not glamorous, but it saves a huge amount of time. So in normal English, what I'm really doing here is, I'm building a place to store everything. I'm building screens to show it. I'm wiring up the buttons so quizzes and mocks actually work. I'm plugging in an AI tutor on top, and I'm adding ways for humans to push back when the AI gets things wrong. I'm not going to show the whole building process on screen, because let's be honest, that's probably not what you're here for. There are plenty of bubble training videos out there already. Everything from beginner tutorials to deep advanced walkthroughs. If you ever want to learn the platform itself, you're completely covered. What I'm doing now is putting the foundations in place, the structure, the pages, the workflows, all the things I talked about today. Once I've got the basics working, things will become much clearer and you'll be able to see exactly where this whole experiment is heading. So, that's it for now. I'll get building, and I'll see you next time. Before I go, there's one last thing I should mention. I'm using an AI voice for this series. Using my own voice would take a huge amount of time. Setting up a good microphone, adding compressors, running everything through Audacity, removing the popping P sounds and the hissing S sounds, editing out the dogs barking, the neighbours shouting, the trucks rolling past. It's a whole production on its own. So, in the name of transparency, this is not actually me speaking. But in a way, it is. It's my words, my thoughts, my project, just delivered through a proxy voice. And honestly, that lets me focus on building the app, understanding the law and sharing the journey with you, instead of wrestling with a microphone. And once again, goodbye for now. I really hope you'll join me on this project, this little journey which could turn out to be a full-on roller coaster ride, as we head toward our destination, passing SQE1 on the very first try.